Good morning, fellow sentients. So, I wasn't scheduled for work today, so what do you got to do? You got to go on a bike ride. So anyway, that's the city of Tucson behind me. Flip you around, probably all gave you motion sickness. That's where we're going. And that little tip of mountain way over there, that's where we're going. Come on, take a ride with me. Redington Road travels through the gap between the Catalina Mountains north of Tucson and the Rincon Mountains east of Tucson. This pass has been in use for hundreds of years and picked up the name Redington when it became a stage line between Tucson and the settlement of Redington in the late 1800s. Once through the pass, you can head south towards Benson and Wilcox or head north towards San Manuel and Oracle. On the way towards San Manuel, you can take a left turn and head back towards the backside of the Catalinas and head up the Mount Lemmon Control Road. So I've been running through Redington Pass for a long time, since I was a teenager. One of the things that keeps me coming back is just kind of, you can see changes. And this area right here, about 10 years ago, was all burned out. I think it was called the Burrow Fire. So you can see a couple of remnants there. And then if we scan back up, we can see how stuff is recovered. So it is, things do come back. It might take a little while, but just kind of an interesting thing to point out. And also you can see we're starting to get from mesquite trees, which are generally lower desert, we're getting these bad boys here. And so our vegetation is starting to change as we go up in altitude. Anyway, I find it interesting. So, you know, that's why we're stopped here. You may be looking at this and wondering to yourself, Self, what makes the earth red like that? Well, let me tell you. Red stuff. No, seriously. Actually, it's red dye number 5. Everybody knows. And, you know, because I'm telling you, I would never lie. San Pedro River Valley, backside of Redington Pass. Down there is the San Pedro River, some farmlands, and that river feeds Sierra Vista and Fort Huachuca. And if you're into that kind of thing, I think it's section 3 of the Arizona BDR is down there. We actually are going to ride on a little bit of that. That's where we've been. That's where we'd go if we were going to go to Benson or even Wilcox. That's a bunch of saguaro. And that's where we're going. More dirt. The collection of rocks, that's called the road that we've been on. And again there, we're leaving the San Pedro River Valley. Pan along over here. If we look, the mountain ridge there in the distance, that's the pass we came through. So, right about there. And look, there's the road. We're actually going right about there. So we're going to be heading up the control road, backside of Mount Lemmon. All right, here we are at where I usually like to stop for lunch whenever I do this little loop for somewhat obvious reasons. There's always shade. It's actually kind of a nice little hollow. There's always some interesting stuff to look at here. The shade's always nice. You see we got a abandoned windmill pump there. It's just kind of a nice little calm, quiet spot to chill out for a little bit. We're pretty much right at the base of the Catalina Mountains, what people would consider the backside, because Tucson is basically on the other side. We're probably going to hit the control road here in a mile or two, and it's pretty much rocky uphill climbs from here on out. So, good times. Lemon Control Road. We go that way. This trail was built in the 1920s by the U.S. Forest Service and was the only road to Mount Lemmon until the Catalina Highway was finished in 1950. It was called the Control Road because due to it being so narrow, it was controlled one-way traffic that switched at regular timed intervals. just like that. We're almost at the top of the mountain. If you were here 15 years or so ago, this would have been all pine trees. You can see we got some burned stuff, but it is slowly coming back. Out in the far distance, that's where we were, San Pedro River Valley. That stripe of green is about where the river is. And we can kind of pan around. Yeah, we came from way over there. And that's the road we came up. And that's where we're headed. Almost up to the top.
Perched on Mount Lemmon is the village of Summerhaven. Summerhaven is usually about 20 to 30 degrees cooler than Tucson, largely due to its elevation of just over 8,000 feet. It is home to less than 100 full-time residents, small shops, a few restaurants, and one of the furthest south ski resorts in the Northern Hemisphere. On the weekends, it will most often be full of Tucsonans escaping the heat for the day. The trees, cooler temps, and people happy to be out of the heat make it a nice place to stop for a treat before heading back down. The Catalina Highway covers about 24 miles and about 6,000 feet worth of elevation change. Construction started in 1933 and took 17 years to finish. Along the way, it travels through 5 different biomes, starting with the Sonoran Desert at the base, then semi-desert grassland, pine oak woodland, ponderosa pine forest, finally topped off by mixed conifer forest. The mountaintops in southern Arizona are often called Sky Islands, and the trip from Tucson to Summerhaven is said to simulate the trip from Mexico to Canada. One can also visit a dark period of American history and stop at the Gordon Hirabayashi Recreation Site, site of a former World War II Japanese internment camp, now named after a former prisoner.
We're back on the Tucson side of the Catalina Mountains. In fact, that's Tucson. And if we kind of scan back here to our left, along here, that's the test we went through earlier. We can fling ourselves back all the way around. We're currently on the Catalina Highway, coming down from way up there. So we're making a big old loop.
So, what does a person need to take this trip? First, you will need a day. Even on a motorcycle, it is a solid 6 hours of driving. Second, you will need something with decent ground clearance. With careful driving, most crossovers will make it, possibly with some scraping. If you are the type of person that knows what Hoop-DX is, your car can do it. Any stock 4x4 can do it in its sleep. If all you have is a basic car, 8 times out of 10, Redington Pass is passable, and once you reach Redington Road, you can head on to Benson or Oracle with no problem. The Catalina Highway is a blast in anything that handles well. Any way you can get there, Summer Haven is worth the trip.
Sometimes it's nice to just look.
So that's the Redington Mount Lemmon Catalina Highway Loop. A fun day venture to take if you are in southern Arizona. As always, adventure is what you make of it. Go find yours.